now. We now have, we already have UIG singers, but I did not know that we had a new UIG dancing team. But I videoed it, so for all of you who are looking this way, I've got 20 seconds of video to show you later. Hey, so before we pray in, a couple of things. We have people that are with us today that are having their own special celebration days. And today is the 41st wedding anniversary for Linda and her husband. So we want to acknowledge that. And today is, without numbers, mainly because I just don't know them, but I wouldn't tell them without permission, Anita's birthday is today. So happy birthday! And I thought you all would enjoy knowing, I got an email forwarded to me last night by a lady named Diane Allen. And she is the daughter of Reverend Don and Joyce Allen, who was the very first Unity minister brought here to Greensboro for this church. And she has a box of her dad's handwritten sermons, and she's getting ready to start putting it all into a book. So at some point, I don't know how long it'll take her, but she's going to go through and she's going to turn all this into a book from our founding ministers' work. So because she reached out to me, she's like, hey, I just want to make sure that Unity wouldn't have provided him with these pre-written services. And I was like, well, they don't do that now, and I can't imagine that they ever did. But if it was in your dad's handwriting, I'm pretty sure it's his, so I think you're good to go. So anyway, that's exciting. I've heard lots about Don and Joyce through the years, so it was kind of cool to hear from their daughter, and that's for all of us. So let's take this time to pray in together. I invite you to close your eyes if that's comfortable. Or find something to put a soft gaze on, just to release yourself into the moment. Release yourself to the spirit that is within you. Release yourself to the very core of your being that always has been and always will be. All that is good is within us. And we bring that forward here today as we join together with like-mindedness. Here to celebrate our spiritual truth, here to just feel the excitement of the good that is flowing through us and to us and for us and as us. And with that, we let it be well. We let it be so, and so it is, and amen. So something I want to do for a while, we'll see, and is I want us to help remind ourselves and each other of these two core principles, the very basics of what everything that we teach in Unity comes from. So and we're going to read. Which one are we doing today? The 5 principles. We're going to read one of these two when Carol gets up here to lead it. But for every Sunday for a while, I want us to read both principle number 1 together and our mission statement, because these two things are really at the foundation of any decisions that we make for ourselves and our personal lives and the decisions that we make as a church together. So I want to invite you to read this with me. There is only one ultimate power in the universe. That power is God, and its nature is absolute, unchanging good. That last bit there, absolute, unchanging good. That is your nature. That is my nature. That is our nature. And then the mission statement that this church got together on, and the board worked on it for a while, and there was a special committee that worked on it before that, and then the whole congregation put some input into it in an annual meeting. And so this is our current mission statement as a church, as this group together. So read with me. Unity in Greensboro is a loving, inclusive home for spiritual living that empowers and serves our community. Which community? All the communities. This community, the Greensboro community, the world, right? That we're saying that the work that we do, the decisions we make of what we're gonna do, is all based around, does it serve this mission statement? And so I invite us to really look at that and really use it for ourselves, because anything that we would be asking for ourselves to do here in a group, we have to really be centered in each individually first. So I invite us to do that together. All right, let's have Carol come up.
Good morning, Unity family. I hope everyone is doing well today. Okay. Good morning, welcome. Welcome home. I am going to ask you all to repeat after me. If you're watching us virtually, please type in this in the comments. I want everybody to look around at your neighbor and repeat after me. ¿Cómo está? I love you this morning. And I sure do appreciate you being here. And to our virtual church family, please know we're saying that to you as well. Help us grow this loving community by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to our pages. So we always welcome good news. So share it with us. So we're going to read our affirmations together for the month of May. There is a love in me so strong that it can power entire nations. Ooh, isn't that powerful? I use the power of my tongue on purpose and with purpose. That's a good one, and it's also a scary one, so let's use that purposefully. Okay, we're going to read our 5 principles. There is only one ultimate power in the universe. That power is God, and its nature is absolute, unchanging good. Human beings were created from absolute good, and so our inherent nature is also good. We call the inherent goodness of human beings the Christ. Our thoughts are our creative power. Whatever we persistently focus our thoughts and feelings upon manifests in our lives. Prayer and meditation are essential elements of the spiritual life because they focus our thoughts on our oneness with God and all creation. It is not enough to know the truth. We must put that truth into action in our lives. We must live the truth we know. Isn't that awesome? And now we have our call to worship song by Maria Mata. Let's give her a hand. Yay!
Thank you, Carol. Okay, I'm going to invite everybody to stand and join me if that feels comfortable for you. And this is a little bit of a mantra, right? So we see, we feel, we choose, and we know. I see joy, I see peace, I see goodness surrounding me. I see love in every breath I breathe. I see God in everything. I see happiness, I see freedom. I see the beauty that lives in me. I see perfection in what life brings. I see God in everything. I feel joy, I feel peace, I feel goodness surrounding me. I feel love in every breath I breathe. I feel God in everything. I feel happiness, I feel freedom. I feel the beauty that lives in me. I feel perfection in what life brings. I feel God. choose perfection in what life brings. I choose God in everything. I know joy, I know peace, I know goodness surrounding me. I know love in every breath I breathe. I know God in everything. I know happiness, I know freedom. I know the beauty that lives in me. I know perfection in what life brings. I know God in everything. I know God in everyone. Thank you, guys. Pass the peace. Pass the peace. Don't sit down. Get up and show some love.
Y'all can hug or nod or shake hands or fist bump. Just see the Christ in everybody.
Confusing, you don't know what to do. It seems the world is closing in on you. It's time to move, but you don't know where to go. You're in a panic and you can't let it show. Don't call your neighbor, your answer isn't there. Don't look to family, they have their own despair. There is a place to go where someone will care. Take your burdens to the Lord in prayer. You can always go to God and pray. Be assured that He will meet you there. You don't have a thing to worry about. God can handle it without a doubt. Jesus will meet you there. You walk the floor at night and wonder what to do. Wonder why trouble always follows you. Friends disappoint you after giving you their word. Reasons they give you are the biggest lies you've heard. I know just why to find the answer you seek. A conversation where you need not even speak. Still yourself and turn to one who really cares. Take your burdens to the Lord in prayer. If you're sick, the Lord will make you well. You can trust Him, He won't listen and tell. Jesus Christ is just a friend you need. In Him you have the power to succeed. Jesus will meet you there. He can work it out, work it out. He can work it out, work it out. He can work it out, work it out. He can work it out. Jesus will meet you there. You need a friend who has some power to you. Your mind needs straightening out, you're totally confused. You need to know how much the Savior really cares. You need to know your burdens He will gladly bear. Turn within, that's where He waits for you. He knows when and where and what to do. He'll solve your problems and heal your despair. Just take your burdens to the Lord in prayer. Trust in the Savior, He'll set you free. To be all that you were meant to be. If you trust in Him, you will see. He gives life more abundantly. Jesus will meet you there. Work it out. He can work it out. He will work it out. He can work it out. To work it out. He can work it out. He work it out. He can work it out. Work it out. Jesus is able. Work it out. Jesus knows how to work it out. Yes, He will. Yes, He will. Work it out. Work it out. Work it out. I tell you, He will work it out. He did for me. He worked it out. Every day for me. He worked it out.
All right, I'm going to invite everyone to make your way back to your seats. If you're part of the youth or the youth volunteers or the young adults, we'll ask you to come over on this side. We'll invite everybody to rub your hands together, get all that good God energy going that you can direct at other folks. We're going to do some blessing. Y'all ready to offer out blessings? Let the God within you flow. So we'll direct it this way, and I invite you to say with me, we love you. We bless you. We appreciate you. We behold the Christ in you. All right, have a great time. And I will invite up Anita. I'm going to add to the blessing.
And I turned 66 today, and I really wish it was 26. That'd be better. Okay, so I'm the prayer chaplain today, and we know prayer works, so we're going to do it together. If you want to put your prayer in the prayer box, it's right up here if you don't know that already. And if you want to put a prayer on our website, that works too. And now our list of names on the prayer list. Jeannie Gwynn, my good friend. Sharon Nylander. Barbara Brown, my other good friend. Kathy Rich. Susan Reynolds. Jeff Cortez. Anna Cortez. And I'd like to pray for a family in Missouri who's experiencing a death that is, I don't remember their last name, but that doesn't mean I don't love them. God knows their last name. So let's pray over this. Spirit, be a tangible presence in every situation that tests our patience. As we remember, there's a gift in every situation in which we find ourselves. We know that if we look for the gifts, most assuredly, the presence of God will be there as guiding force. And we know that the hidden gifts will become self-evident. Let us be aware of each perceived complication, and an otherwise simple life contains a morsel of God-mind truth. Teach us to ask ourselves of the issue, did I allow complacency to replace gratitude? Remind us to step back away from any issue, work on the level of the solution, and patiently await a message from the universe. For if we are awake and aware and responsive, we will certainly hear it. And we know it will always be the same. Be still and know that I am your God and all is well. And now we'll move right into our meditation. Let's bow our heads and take a deep breath. Let's focus on why we came here today. To remember who you are all over again. Because you can never hear words like these enough. With God, all things are possible. I trust. You are love expressed. You are enough. You are holy, holy. And even if you hear these words a million times, you never get old because the message resonates with your heart. You know that these statements are the truth with a capital T. You know that you are one with God, with all people, animals, plants growing on the earth. To remember that you are part of something beautiful because everyone in this room is on his own spiritual journey, and you have the privilege to witness not only their growth, but your own spiritual growth. To remember that without our hearts and our shared allegiance to Spirit, this place would not be the same. You are loved and appreciated in this place. May the words spoken here today accompany you with every interaction. And so it is in the silence. May you be rested, renewed, and ready to face a wonderful world. Look for it, and you'll find it. And so it is.
Hello again. We have We have special music, and we already heard some of it earlier. So we're going to give a big hand for Tanya Ross. Yay! Tanya Ross is a singer, songwriter, musician, and vocal instructor. She is a native of Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Her influences in music have been inspired by gospel, jazz, and soul. It has been over 27 years since she has been performing on stages all around the U.S. And she's only 27 years old, okay? She continues to do her music passionately with excellence. Her repertoire consists of music from the 70s to 2000s, with styles ranging from R&B, neo soul, smooth jazz, traditional reggae, and her originals. In September 2016, she opened Ross Performance Music Studio. Some of her true joys are teaching others how to sing using different techniques, helping to develop confidence during a stage performance, and sharing knowledge to singers about stage equipment, etc. That's where Reverend Wally got all his experience from, Tanya. Okay? Tanya's future continues to shine bright. She often says, I just want to spread love, healing, and hope through music. Tanya thanks the Creator for blessing her with such unique gifts in music. And let's give Tanya a big round of applause.
I just love you. I woke up this morning with this on my mind. Something good's gonna happen in this year, and I am grateful that I made it here. Yesterday's gone and a new day has appeared, and I am grateful that I made it here. Blessings gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Money's gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Oh yeah. Something good's gonna happen on today, and I am grateful that I made my way. Yesterday's gone and a new day has appeared, and I am grateful that I made it here. Blessings gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Money's gonna find me here. Healing's gonna find me here. Something good's gonna happen, unity, and I am grateful for you and me. Yesterday's gone and a new day has appeared, and I am grateful that I made it here. Blessings gonna find me here. Let's say that together, y'all. Blessings. Blessings gonna find me here. Love's gonna find me here. Healing's gonna find me here. One more time, come on. Love is gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Said love's gonna find me here. Healing's gonna find me here. Said it's gonna find me here. Something good's gonna happen on today, and I am grateful that I made my way. Yes.
find me here. Healing's gonna find me here. Blessings gonna find me here. Love's gonna find me here. Let's do it again. Blessings gonna find me here. Money's gonna find me here. Our new church is gonna find me here. Love's gonna find me here. Oh, I'm so glad to see you here. Said I'm so glad to see you here. Said I'm so glad for the love that's here. Said I'm so glad for the joy that's here. Yes.
I just heard a good affirmation in that I want to invite us all to say. We say in our greeting, we look around and say, it sure is good to see you here today. But what I just heard from her song that's so important for us to say is, I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad I'm here, you know. And really take the power of our individual of that, because that is a magnet. We are energy beings before we are physical beings, and that energy is magnetized, and we are powerful. So, and we're talking today about, you know, some of the work that we do with our subconscious. And so that's important to kind of look into. It's like, and really finding that power within, because like early on, I learned, you know, we have what we teach in Unity as the subconscious, the conscious, and what we call the superconscious. The superconscious is the God conscious of it. And the God conscious is consistently always good. And the human conscious sometimes wants to talk to God and say, well, but you don't understand. I think you missed the news last night, God, right? And be like, well, maybe, or maybe not, right? You know, and then there's the subconscious that just follows instructions. So when we say, you know, somebody's like, oh, how are you doing today? Oh, I'm so sick. I'm so sick. And the subconscious, I call the subconscious the other way I like to think of it that helps me keep focused on it, is it's the manifestation factory. And all the workers there, they don't think for themselves. They just do as the instructions have come in. So when we say, I'm so sick today, down in the up in the manifestation factory or wherever it is, the order goes out. Sick. He asked for sick today. Give him some more of that. That's what he's talking about. That's what he's thinking about. So that is what we are to produce, right? So that's why even like last week I talked about, let's like as we multiply the number of people that join us together in like-mindedness, we don't do that by looking at the empty chairs and say, oh, I can't believe there aren't people in those chairs. We start by looking at the people who are in chairs and say, I'm so grateful that you're here today to celebrate this truth with me. And as we do that, right, we bring about that. And then it was like, and then look around and use that power of imagination, which is step one of our manifestations, and say, I choose to see the people I love sitting here next to me or across from me. And I choose to see people I've never met who I know will benefit my life by becoming a part of it, by them finding out too, right? And so that's just an example I use because it's something that's been talked about here. We do that in all parts of our lives, right? We do that if you're in an apartment or a house that is really just too small. You got two choices. You can let go of some of the stuff, which could be advisable. I have that conversation with my brother often. My brother doesn't think he can live in less than a 4-bedroom house by himself. because of all the stuff he has. And I said, you could just get rid of some of the stuff, right? No, I can't. Well, what, anyway, right? It's what we, and it's like, if that's the thing, it's like, no, all this stuff is important to me. I require at least a 4-bedroom house by myself because I have all this stuff that I want to keep. And I also don't want to pile it up where I can't see it. So I got to spread it out. So I need rooms. And if you're thinking that while you're living in a 1-bedroom house, then if you just stare around at the boxes and say, well, I wish I had more room, say, I'm claiming more room now. I'm claiming the opportunity of what it will take to get more room now. I know it's already there because we have to claim it before we receive it. And so that's really the lesson that we're looking at today. Is I had to go to YouTube a couple of times, and you type in the word pronounce, and then you type the word you don't know how to pronounce. And so that's a P, but YouTube said that it's very specifically pointed out not to pronounce the P. It's called, her name is Shiphrah. So that P is pronounced with an F. Shiphrah and Puah, right? And so when I was looking at, really wanting to look at that divine feminine energy that is so powerful for the whole month that Mother's Day is in, I was like, well, let's look up some women I hadn't really talked about before or studied. And so I came across these two. Now, well, let me pull this up first. So the premise of today's lesson is, how do we override our subconscious minds when we're ready to create new life and new ideas, right? Because we have to put the work in to change how our subconscious thinks and what it puts out, because it's a habit formula, right? So, like in the example I just gave, I can say, I'm sick today, and it's sick, or I am so good today, and it's good, right? And so we can have those moments, but most of the time we're like working off of kind of habits, and so is our subconscious, right? So that's where you have to really work on breaking those kinds of habits. I'm teaching a group of ministerial students right now, homiletics. And that word, if some churches call it a homily instead of a sermon. So I'm working with them, and they're giving a lot of talks, and we're really looking at how you put services together and that sort of thing. One of the students in that class is neurodivergent, and I don't know a lot to explain to you on that, but like one of her talks she gave was in how we create new habits, and that there is science that you have to like literally rewire your brain of like, well, I've always thought about it this way, but I don't find thinking about it this way is serving me well anymore. I want to change how I think about it. And so that's where we use prayer and we use affirmations. And when we really are determined to make a change, we write those affirmations down and we journal about them, and we put them on Post-it notes in the bathroom and in the kitchen so that we say them and see them as often as possible. We work at it. We work to rewire our brains. Literally, scientifically, we're rewiring our brains as we're getting ourselves really in the use of our own spiritual power. So this story comes from Exodus in chapter 1, verses 8 through 20. Now, metaphysically, the definition for Exodus, this is our understanding of everything that comes in this book, has this filter on it, this lens of what we're going to gain from. So Exodus refers to the deliverance of people's highest religious and spiritual thoughts from the obscurity, darkness, and ignorance of the Egyptian consciousness, which is metaphysically the mind of flesh, or the sense thoughts, our physical, earthly, human thoughts, right? And so our sense thoughts know what's been proved, or know what we think has been proved, right? See, and the example of that, what we think has been proved, we could have a society that thinks rainy days are the best days because, those are the days that gives us the lakes and gives our ground the water and all that. And then the sun, we could think of the sun. We know the sun helps all the good stuff grow too, and we know how good it feels on our bodies right now, right? But if we were really the rainy day society, we'd be like, oh, here comes the enemy of our days. It dries up the water. It gets hot, right? My skin doesn't feel moist when I walk outside because instead of the air putting water on me, it dries up. It's bad, and I got proof of it because, look, I'm going to put water on my hand. I'm going to walk outside. Watch that water go away. See, it's bad. I got proof of it, right? So it's like the proof in and of itself is attached to a belief that we chose to believe first. So that on its own doesn't get us too far. In fact, it usually helps bury our feet in the sand, and then we're stuck till we find somebody with a shovel to help us out, right? So that's where when we look for our higher thoughts, our spiritual thoughts to help guide us, that then we can rework the rest of it. We can make the changes we want to see and experience in our lives in that way. I'm going to tell on Tanya slightly because she really expressed today the full lesson. She woke up thinking, oh, I don't think I can make it today. My body's saying to me, I should probably just stay in bed today. And she called me at 7 o'clock. Let me tell you, the fact that I was awake at 7 o'clock was also God in action because I usually get up at 7:30. But last night I said, set the alarm for 7. And I was like, well, but you've already showered. You don't that's when I get up at 7 is if I don't feel like taking a shower the night before. I was like, you've already showered. You don't need to get up at 7. It's like, you should have breakfast at home today because I normally eat in the car on the way. So I was like, okay, and I did it. And then as I'm just trying to get out of bed, the phone starts ringing, right? And I said, take care of yourself first. We'll we'll get it worked out. We'll figure it out. And about 20 minutes later, she called again and she said, I'm coming. I am coming, right? And then she told me when she was here that once she tried to lay down and rest because that's what she really believed her body needed in that moment, that there was this spirit in her that said, you ain't going to sleep because sleep is not where your healing is. Singing and letting that magical, beautiful energy flow through you and really cook up, that's where your healing's going to be. So I ain't going to let you sleep. And she listened to that spirit and she took action on it. That's what Shiphrah and Puah did, right? So long story short for them, and we're going to look at the whole thing. I'm going to read it all metaphysically in here too. But there are two great lessons. There's the physical story that's in the Bible. That's a really good lesson. And then there's the metaphysical one. The physical story in it is the Pharoh or the king. I got confused. I've switched the name both. I had it saying that they defied the king, and then I was like, oh, no, it's the Pharoh. I made a mistake. And then when I went back and looked in this one story, it says king and Pharoh. So I went to Google. I said, what's the difference in a king and a Pharoh? And the king is the ruler of a certain part of land, right? And the Pharoh is that too, except with the belief that they are God in human form. Not one of, that they are, right? And that like it all has to come through them, right? And so this Pharoh saw in Egypt that they'd brought all these slaves over and that they were really procreating and having babies, and their population was growing faster than the Egyptian population. And so the Pharoh that first said, you gotta work them harder, right? You got to work them so hard that they're too tired to procreate at night when they get home, like, or you got to break their spirit so that they just don't even want to live, right? And the more they pushed them down, the more they kept growing. And so then he went to these midwives, which was Shiphrah and Puah, and said, look, when you sit down on the stool to help give birth to the baby, when the baby comes out, if you see it's a boy, you are to kill it immediately. If it's a girl, you can let her live. But all the boys, you got to kill them immediately. And Shiphrah and Puah was like, I don't think I can do that. There's this God message in my head that says I absolutely should not do that. So they didn't do it. Now, defying a regular old king is enough to get yourself axed, right? But this was the Pharoh, right? It's like, the God has told you, how dare you defy what I tell you to do? And so they just told a little white lie. They said, well, no, see, you don't understand. See, these Hebrew women, they're not like the Egyptian women. Like, by the time we get there, they had already had the baby, so we couldn't do it, you know. And so he let them slide, and then God blessed them with their own families and all that went. Really, look, there are stories in the Bible that are there for metaphysical, just lesson things, and I think that there are some that are probably historically accurate, right? Some are, some aren't, but this one reads as one that could have been really accurate. The king's like, no, we've got to control these slaves, and so we've got to do this thing. And they were like, I can't become a murderer for you, right? Like, you know, I want to serve my king. I want to be in favor of my king, and I ain't becoming a murderer for you, right? I have people sometimes that say, well, I just wish would you just go say such and such? And I'm like, no, I can't say that. Well, it would make so-and-so feel better if you would say that. And I'm like, I can't become a liar to make somebody else feel good. Like, it's got to be true for me to say it, right? And so, these women were like, I can't become a murderer so that I'll get a little bit of favor from a king, because that doesn't, my soul says no to that, right? So when we look at I'm just going to give you kind of the metaphysical definitions, and then I'm going to read this using the metaphysical definitions in place of some of the scripture. The king, this Egyptian king, is the ruling sense thought. So this is, you know, these are the ones that if we're trying to change our subconscious thoughts, these are the ones we got to work on breaking the habit of. And then Joseph, at this, not Joseph, Jesus' stepdad, right? Wasn't he technically, right? Sorry. It just occurred to me to say, this is Joseph before, right? So Joseph metaphysically is the state of consciousness in which we increase in character along all lines. And the Israelites, those are our illumined thoughts. Those are those divine ideas. That's some of the ideas that we get and say, well, I'm not qualified to do. That's not mine. It's like, no, it's yours. You know, figure it out. And then there were these places called Pithom and Ramses, and those are groups of thoughts that are pertaining to conservation. Those are the thoughts of, oh, I can't do that. Right, like I'm too. I already worked 50 hours this week. I can't possibly make my body do any more. Or no, I can't afford that. Those are those thoughts, right? And then the Hebrew midwives. Those are, look, just by a straight definition of it, because midwives didn't have a metaphysical Bible dictionary definition in there. So I go to just looking at what's the definition of it. And the definition of a midwife is an expert in medical and emotional care. So when we're looking at metaphysically and spiritually, these are the thoughts that are taking care of both our body and our spirit and helping deliver that out, right? And then there is Shiphrah, who is the spiritual soul character, and Puah, who is the thinking truth, with the capital T. That means the spiritual truth. But, you know, it in action, being thought about, being used. And then babies in general are new divine ideas, the new ones. So they're fresh. They still, like, you can kill them still too easy, those new divine ideas, if you say no to them too quick. Like, they really need care, and they need to be brought about, right? And then metaphysically, like a romance language, so being really clear that we're not saying this about people, but when it's a male in the metaphysics, it's usually a thought or it's wisdom, and when it's a female character, it's love. And so we're gonna go back to it, but it's like, so in that, those ruling sense thoughts is like, oh, you got to kill that wisdom because it's convincing me I don't want to grow, and that wisdom saying I have to. So just get rid of that, right? Just get rid of it. So let's look at this. This says, then the ruling thoughts, whom the state of consciousness in which we increase in character along all lines meant nothing, came to power in our sense thoughts. And it said, look, the illumined thoughts have become far too numerous for us. Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous. And if war breaks out, we'll join our enemies and fight against us and leave this area of thought, right? So that's saying that when we get in our habit and we get in our comfort zone and we're feeling the call for change, but it feels scary, or it feels exhausting, or it feels like, no, I just want to do this. But those illumined thoughts are like, oh, but your highest and best is kind of just right over here. And so those thoughts are like, no, you got to do whatever you got to do to kill that, because it's going to add to it. And then there's going to be even more of those divine thoughts. And then they're over going to take where and next thing you know, I'm going to be going to the gym, and I don't want to go to the gym. Right? Like no, you got to kill that thought, right? So it says, they then put the slave masters over those illumined thoughts to oppress them with forced labor, and they built groups of thoughts pertaining to conservation of substance as the store cities, right, for those ruling thoughts. And the more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. So the more we try and oppress our illumined thoughts, the more those divine ideas that are coming up, and we're like, no, I'm not going to do that, right? And no, I'm going to go back to sleep. And the divine thought said, no, you're not. Let me add a next one. Let me give you another reason. Like, let me give you enough divine ideas that we're going to override this thought that the sleep, right? Like, whatever the thing is, I'm going to answer to my spirit. I'm going to go to my spirit first. When I feel like I'm making a big decision, I'm going to, thanks, God. Thanks, I know that you're working with me and giving me the best information I need in this moment right here, right now. I'm still not clear on it. I don't have an answer for you right now, but I need an answer. I will give you an answer as soon as I'm possible, but God and I are still working on this one, right? Because I'm going to let my real ruling nature be from an illumined place instead of a human proof place on its own. It's not that human proof is bad. We all have at some point got the lesson not to touch the hot stove, right? Like, that's a good lesson. That's a good one. But, at some point, there are other ones that it's like, that's more habit-based, and it's like, oh, no, well, I just did this one because it worked. It felt good. Well, why'd you stay with that person that says all those negative words to you all the time? Well, I didn't think I could afford to move and live on my own. Well, did you look and see, like, did you pray on it, or did you just make the comfortable decision? That's the question. Did you pray on it, or did you just make the comfortable decision? And comfort is not bad. I love comfort. I love to wrap up, like in the winter. That's why I put gas logs in, right? I just want to be comfortable. And sometimes you got to get up and go out into the winter and do the work that you know that needs to be done to make your days ahead easier. It then says that the ruling sense thoughts said to that human and emotional care and called in the spiritual soul character and the thinking truth and said, hey, so when you're helping those women give birth, and when you see that it's a divine idea of wisdom, I'm going to need you to kill that. But if it is a new divine idea of love, you can let that live. But that medical and emotional care feared God more than the king. And not feared in, I'm just scared of, I respect, I trust more, right? That's just a word that was used in a slightly different way then than we use it now. So it's really about like, I have a higher respect and trust for the information I get from my God, from my spiritual truth, from my highest and best part of myself than I do this other human being, right? That is God for themselves, but the God within me has got to rule me, right? And so then once they did that and they followed that, they were then blessed with more of that. They were blessed with more divine ideas, and they got to live in that, because once you start doing that and that becomes your easier and better place to be, it becomes like an easier place to get to. Instead of, being the worst case scenario thinker, look, and those are fine. Like, you see those, you hear about those, you recognize those, but it doesn't rule your thinking. You're like, oh, I see that there's a challenge to overcome, and I know that I always get this really good stuff on the other side of the challenge. So I'm going to keep working that. That's what this call's about for us, that when we make the decision of who's in charge of our lives, and it's not the conditions and the situations, it's us. And we have the choice, because it really is, you'll hear a lot of folks say in church that I love and respect, oh, well, God is in charge of my life. That is missing the piece, because I decided so. Because we all have free will. So we can let the conditions and the worst case scenarios rule our decision making, or we can choose to say, no, my highest and best is my ruling thoughts of how I make my decisions and how I choose what I'm going to do. But I decide that, you decide that, and you have the power to use all of that. All that is God, you are. And all that God has is yours. I love you, I bless you, and I behold the Christ that absolutely is you. And thank you for being here today. So now is our time to give our love offerings and our blessings and our tithes and all the good stuff that supports the work that we all do here together. And I think Maria's going to tell you some stuff later on some new reports. And so just know that we are all moving forward together in a beautiful way, and that some of it costs money. And so we thank you in advance for financially supporting and spiritually supporting all the work we do. Let's just do the short version of thank you, God, for everything, and mean it when we say it. Thank you, God, for everything. 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 And praying over the gifts that are here in the room and all the other ones that come in electronically, let us affirm together: divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am grateful. And so it is. All right, I'm going to hand it back over to Carol.
See, what you all don't know is that while Tanya was kind of contemplating coming here, I was the spiritual being getting her here. Okay? So thank me and thank God. You're quite welcome anytime. All right. Here's some announcement and some upcoming events. If you are a first-time visitor or haven't been here in a long time, raise your hand if you haven't gotten a visitor packet, and our ushers will bring you one. If you are online, drop us an email at info@unityingreensboro.org so we can have you fill out a virtual visitor card. All right, so come on and do one of those so we can say hey. Join Frederick Hester after service today for Listen, Listen, Listen to Your Heart Sung Part 4. This session will include Tay's meditation. I hope I said that right. Taize. Taze meditation, which involves reading, music, and special ordination experience. Attendees will have the opportunity to participate by reading a short article about moving forward with their goals. Music will be shared as well as time for silent reflection. This class will be held after service at 11:30. People are welcome to join the class even if they haven't attended any of the previous sessions. Reverend Miranda Kober will be offering a 12-week experience via Zoom that is based on the transformation book, The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and is designed to help you reconnect with the creativity, breakthrough blocks, and cultivate a more inspired, intentional life. If you actually haven't read this book or haven't done this book, it's very, very good. I've done it. I only got halfway, but I'm going to do it again. Participants will move through the book together, reading one chapter per week and engaging in its core practices like morning pages, artist dates, on their own time. To deepen the experience, we'll gather for supportive midweek check-ins, sharing in reflection, and working through fun, challenging activities to supplement the chapters. The cost is $100. Look in Tuesday's e-blast for a link to sign up for this experience. Thursday, May 20th is the last day to register. Okay. Let chaplains pray with you after service, and if we can get our chaplains to raise our hand, which is Reverend Wally and Anita, so go and see them after service. And you can also send an email to info@unityingreensboro.org, and you will be connected with one of the chaplains. And Maria, come on up before our friend Tanya Ross comes up.
Thank you, Carol. So I gave a sort of a detailed update last Sunday, but today, because there's a lot more people here today than there were last Sunday, so I'm going to try to give you the Reader's Digest version. As your board president, the intention that I'm holding is that we're moving forward with buying the Lee's Chapel property. So obviously we have to go through some processes. I was telling Tanya this morning, I was ready to make an offer a month ago, and everybody on the board said, Maria, you can't do that unless you're planning on buying it by yourself. So we do have to go through certain processes. We're having a board meeting tomorrow night, and my recommendation is going to be to purchase the property. Then we'll hold a congregational meeting in a couple of weeks. We have to give a 2-week notice for the congregation to come together to have a vote. We cannot purchase anything without the entire congregation being a participant in that process. So I want to give you the reason why I am pushing to purchase. As I said last week, in the last 10 years, so we sold Opal 10 years ago because it needed way too much work. We've spent approximately $200,000 in the last 10 years renting, and we have nothing to show for that. We could have torn Opal down and started over with that money. So I feel that we need to own our own property so that we are a small congregation. I mean, we can look around and see that currently we are a small congregation. So there is limitations. There have been limitations in what we've received from a small congregation. So we have the opportunity, if we own something, to have resources from outside our small congregation, our current small congregation. And Tish has graciously offered to become our event coordinator to make those income opportunities happen for just a measly percentage of what we bring in. I was talking to Charlotte this week, and she said that she's been holding a vision of us having something like what Anita has, a home that is so interesting that people want to come and see our home, something that's sustainable. There's enough land on this property that we could build our dream church. So the building that's there currently may not be the ideal situation, but it is the ideal stepping stone to get us to the next level. So we are currently running in a deficit monthly, which is why I think it's important for us to have outside resources to help with this. So that's my intention. I invite you, what's the fifth principle? It's not enough to know the truth. We must live the truth we know. We know that we have all that we need already. And so it is.
Look, and it's very important to me. I don't want to talk y'all into anything because the church there are new responsibilities and new jobs to do when you own it. So, that's got to be a strong yes moving into it. We got a piece of news today that, like, after about a day, I'm like, oh, wait, this is what that's really saying. So we got pre-approved by the bank for the full asking price of the building. Ain't nobody paying full asking price, but we've been approved for that. So, but here's which is $415,000. So back in, I believe it was 2020, it could have been 21, Bill Caulfield put together all the information with the same bank, Bank of Oak Ridge, and we were pre-approved for a building for $325. And then in 23, we had to re-up that because it had expired, and you turn in all the paperwork and you show them what money you've got and what money's coming in and what money came in last year, and they said, yep, still 325. And now 3 years later, while we recognize that there have been some challenges of giving and attendance and that sort of thing, we gave them all that paperwork, including all the stuff that's been happening this year, and they said, oh yeah, we'll give you $90,000 more than we previously approved. So look, banks aren't emotional. They may like us. I don't know. They probably do like us, but they don't make decisions about giving somebody an additional $90,000 because they think you're real nice. They looked at the paperwork to decide whether they thought it would get paid back or whether there was the ability to pay it back. And they said, oh yeah, they're doing more now. So just know that for yourselves, whether you still want to buy or not, that instead of looking at, oh, well, there's this big challenge, these people who only look at money said they're doing better. So know that for yourselves about yourselves. Yes, and thank Dan it's a lot of hours getting all that information together and talking to the bank. So thank you, Dan, for all that you've done for that. And Tanya, please bless us with some more music.
One love, one heart. Let's get together and let's get together. I'm sorry, y'all. Skip that. Let them all pass all their dirty remarks. There is one question that I'd really love to ask. Is there a place for the hopeless sinner who has hurt all mankind just to save his own? Believe me, one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying, one love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. Let's get together to fight this holy Armageddon. So when the man comes, there will be no doom. Happy day on those whose chances grow thinner. There ain't no hiding place from the Father of creation. Believe me, one love, one heart. Let's get together and feel alright. Hear the children crying, love, one heart. Give thanks and praise to the Lord, and I will feel alright. Let's get together and feel alright. Give thanks for the new church now, and I will feel alright. You gotta believe it. Give thanks to the new church now, and it will be right here. Hey, let's get together and feel alright. Yes.
Thank you, thank you. So, if you have time to stay for the Taze meditation, look, people kept telling me, I guess because I was gay, that I was adding flair to it and that it's called Taze. Well, I went to YouTube, and YouTube says it's called Taze. Taze. So, that's what YouTube said, because it's based on a French group, and you know, with the E on French. So there's really good music. It's not just sitting in silence. I think there is that in there. It's a meditation. But there's songs by Daniel Nahmod and Karen Drucker and Eddie Watkins Jr. that's all a part of this meditation. And so please stay and do it if you can. And next week, our topic is Today I Choose to Shine. And I will be delivering that message, and John and Candy, the John and Candy Band, will be here providing the music for that as well. So do come if you can, or check out our YouTube. If you're not already a subscriber to the YouTube channel, it helps when you click that subscribe button. You get a notice when you sign on to YouTube. Hey, they got a new video. But it also, you know, the more people you have on those kind of social media things, the other doors open up to the things they'll let you do. So, all right, I invite you to stand, and you can hold hands if you'd like to, or you can place your hands prayerfully in the air. You can get in the circle or stand just outside of the circle, and we will sing the peace song together. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And together let us. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, love is, peace is, light is, God is, and all is well. And so it is. Have a great week on purpose, everybody.